Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you may be on the globe. Hang on the globe. We mustn't touch, we mustn't use our fingers. So where in the world are we today? Stamp Collecting Fun intends to find out. And we'll have a look at 4 stamps today. And we'll have a look at the stamps and see a little bit of extra information around those stamps. Okay, we'll remove this out of the way. And excuse me while I just get the stamps. I should have done this before, shouldn't I? We'll get the stamps ready. So we'll have a look at the first stamp, which is coming up. I'm using the tweezers, as you can see. So here we have a beautiful stamp. What can we glean from it initially? Well, there's a cat and a dog, lovely little puppy and a pussycat there, and a ball and some Quality Street maybe and some flowers. Very nice. We've got the number 10. We've got a place called Fujairah. We've got postage in English, and we've got some Arabic type language going on there. We've got the 30th of the V11, which was 30th of July, so it would have been pretty hot. Pretty hot, I think, over there. So I had to go on to AI and Google Lens to identify where in the world is Fujairah. Well, it turns out that Fujairah is one of the United Arab Emirates. Now, this particular stamp was in use from 1971 until 1973. So Fujairah basically had their own postal service up until 1973, when it was replaced by the Emirates, by the United Arab Emirates. Where is Fujairah? Well, it's on the Gulf of Oman, if that means anything to you. It doesn't really to me. And it's one of 7 of these emirates. I had a little look, just a little look how much it costs to send a letter if you live in Fujairah or, in the UAE. And it costs 43p to send a letter, which isn't bad. Now, to send a letter from the UK over to Fujairah or the UAE costs £2.80, so it's a little bit more, and it takes 5 days, which is about the same if I post a letter to next door. But that's the UK. What else do I know? Well, Fujairah did have its own definitives, and they started in 1964. This is the only Fujairah stamp I've got. They did a couple of other stamps, actually. One stamp, which pricked my interest. It was the Apollo 13 stamp that they did. So if you have, if you're looking out for Fujairah stamps, maybe the first for definitives and the Apollo 13 stamp would be some good stamps to have. Now, before it became the UAE, or before it became, before, so we go back in past, what is the history of it? Well, it was apparently one of the trucial states, which became a British protectorate after the war. In fact, after the First World War, and continued across years. But it was actually not ruled by Britain. It was just protected by Britain. It had its own sheikh who would who ruled that particular kingdom, sheikhdom. The British were interested because it had access to the Indian Ocean. So it wasn't about particularly anything other than access for the Royal Navy. So there we have that stamp. We'll go to the next stamp, please. And this is a big old stamp. It's big. I haven't got anything handy to show you. Well, compared to the other, that's a big stamp. This is bigger. They love a big stamp over there. So what do we see here? 25 fills. Men in suits. Man with headdress. Arabic writing. Kathiri state of Kathiri State of Hadramaut. Kathiri State of Hadramaut. Again, I had no idea about this particular place or stamp. So I looked it up. Well, AI did that for me. And it turns out that this stamp is a 1966 stamp. Kathiri State is in South Arabia. So I missed that there. And it's probably 1,200 miles south of Fujairah, where we've just been. Interesting men in suits. It's been... it is... the Kathiri State was ruled by a sultan. Again until 1973. Now in 1973, I think that must be a seminal date, because in 73, Fujairah State stopped being part of having their own postal system and just was swallowed up by the UAE postal system. This place was ruled by the Sultan until 73. Then he was replaced by the chairman of Yemen Presidential Leadership Council. They love a good chairmanship over there. Come to order. Come to order, Mr. Chairman. Right, yeah, so, there's been some changes within the political regime. Possibly a change of dress as well. Who knows? Is there anything else I know about it? Absolutely not, actually. Yemen, I think we've all heard of. I think there are problems over in the Yemen at the minute. So we'll move on to the next stamp, which is less problematic, probably, in the world. Again, it's a 1970 stamp, a 1971. Excuse me, my sinuses are blocking up now. All I've got to do is talk and they start blocking. This celebrates the anniversary of UNICEF, which was formed in 1946, and it's a 1971 stamp, so it's the 25th anniversary, possibly. My math isn't that good. 1 dirham. So whereas we've got 10 dirhams here, this is a 1. Qatar, by the way, is now one of the richest places on earth. Yeah, and it's 500 miles, just for geographical purposes. It's 500 miles north of Fujairah, so not that far away. Yeah, and so that's north. That's north. That's on the side there. And Yemen is 1,200 miles down here. So a big old area. Yeah, so Qatar, we'll move those. Concentrate on this. Qatar, nice Arabic language. Yeah, I mean, that's a nice stamp. And, what else can I say about Qatar? Don't suppose I'll ever go there. I didn't look up the cost of a stamp, I'm afraid. I'm sure it's pretty cheap. Pretty cheap. Okay, we've got an older stamp now. Or have we? Actually not. It looks more weathered. It's been through the post. It looks, the paper is a bit thin. And here we have a gentleman and we have an aeroplane. It's an airmail stamp, 14 Rs. So where in the world is this? Well, this is Persia, now called Iran. It's a 1972 stamp. I thought it was 74. It was identified as 74, but it says 72. I'm looking there now. And the person on it is the Shah of Persia, who was, I'm afraid, overthrown in 1979, so 7 years after he was gone. He does have a son who is presumably, you call him the heir presumptive, or whatever the term would be. The son being the son shares his surname, which is was Pahlavi, and he actually lives in Maryland and in the USA, Maryland, USA, one of the states there. He doesn't. His father unfortunately was killed. But of course, what goes round comes round. He was the second in his dynasty. The first in his dynasty was his father, Reza Shah Pahlavi, and he ruled from 1925 to 1941. He replaced, by coup, the Qajar dynasty, which had ruled from 1789 until 1925. But in 1941, this guy's father was not trusted by the British and Soviets with regards to cozying up to the enemy. So he was forced to abdicate, and his son, this chap here, the Shah that we probably remember, he took over from his father. He cooperated. Cooperated with the UK and Soviet forces because they were concerned that Persia, a big old place by the way, it's pretty big. They didn't want that going to the enemy, and it looked like his father was happy to deal with Germans and the like, and the UK and Soviets in particular weren't happy with that. So he cooperated and became a friend of Britain, but unfortunately he himself was by coup overturned. Just the second the third one you could say in the dynasty lives in Maryland, his son, and maybe he's got children himself. So it will live on, but he was overthrown by Ayatollah Khomeini, who was himself in exile before returning to Persia to rename it Iran. The Ayatollah Khomeini was given refuge in Paris, France, would you believe? Unbelievable. Anyway, these are the 4 stamps. We've learnt a little bit, well I have. I'm sure you knew a little bit anyway. And hopefully we've all learnt a little bit. But things change. Stamps change. And boundaries change. But the postal service remains. We'll leave it there for now. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye for now.